Hello and welcome to the showcase. My name is Shaun Martin. I have 45 years experience in the field of the entertainment business, and I'm here to share with you some of the greatest talents and experience in clubland today. The whole objective of this is to learn from each other. And wow, have I got a special guest today. A favourite of mine, an absolute guitar extraordinaire, a legend, Mr. Chris Brown. Hello.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Very good, thank you. I remember, Chris, and I'm going back a long time, Goff and Davies. You worked with Bry in the Brian Fire in the music department, and I remember coming in there when I was pretty young. You was younger than me, and I bought a guitar. I don't. You look sexy now, but I remember coming in there and he was playing the guitar, and I thought, he's good. I wish I could be like that. And then I got into a Blondie tribute with a girl, and I remember coming back into Goff and Davies and said, "Can you show me how to play this Blondie track?" And you just went, blah, blah, blah. I went, my God, I play that lick all the time, even now, 40 years on. So you're the guitarist. I've never met a guitarist better than you, Chris. How did you get started?
I started playing the ukulele because my cousin Alistair, he was playing one. I thought, I want to learn to play that. And then I moved on to this, like a natural progression, the guitar. The tuning's kind of similar, the chord shapes are similar. And then I started at primary school, and there was like a guitar club, and I joined this guitar club in like the first year, and very, very quickly, the music teacher moved me up to the year above. I was obviously really taken to it really well. I used to practice a lot as well. And the music teacher, he was mainly a violinist, pianist, but he played a little bit of guitar. But then he got to a point when he came to parents' evening, he spoke to my dad and he said, "You need to get this kid to private lessons." And back in the day, you could only get classical guitar lessons. So that's what I did. I had classical lessons, which I didn't particularly like, but I'm really glad I did it. And I got into electric guitar when probably I was about 13, something like that. But I really got hooked when I was about 14, 15.
Did you take to it naturally? Are you kind of like a natural person that picks it up?
Apparently, my dad told me later, when I was having my classical lessons, the teacher was giving me like a month's work to do a week.
Wow, that's fantastic. Because some people, Chris, you try to teach them guitar and they just can't grasp it. It just doesn't come. And even some of the things that you've taught me, you're an amazing teacher, but I think you've just got to practice an hour, 2 or 3 hours a day, until you're really good. And if you don't have that time, you're never going to be a guitarist, are you?
I think a lot it's down to the way you practice. Well, no, it is down to the way you practice. Going endlessly through things, you should work on little tiny pockets of problems and go over those again and again, then go back to a different problem, and keep looping those different problems. But I mean, as a beginner, you can sort of start on like 20 minutes a day, let's say 4 or 5 days a week. Obviously, the better you get, it requires more of your time. But to like knock a few chords out and things, you don't have to put that much time. It's the regular practice that's important. When you get into the biggest sort of grades, then you have to put the proper time in then.
But back in the day, Chris, people couldn't afford guitars, could they? Because they was real expensive, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, my first guitar, I mean, the strings to the fretboard, the action was like that, it was like really, really character building. And then as I got a bit older and I progressed, my dad got me like a nice classical guitar for my lessons. And then I got this electric guitar. It was called a Kasuga, I think it was. And the neck snapped on that. I was posing in the living room and the neck went when I was a young kid. And then I got a second-hand Strat. Whoa. Yeah, as a young kid, that was great.
Outstanding. What tips would you give to any budding guitarist, Chris, who's watching this podcast?
Practice, just practice. Be patient. Get lessons so you get good technique, even if it's only for a short while, so you don't get into bad habits that can cause you problems further down the line. Practice, try and be creative.
Do you need an expensive guitar to play good, Chris?
No, not at all. No. Nowadays you can get these package deals. Like certainly if you're for a beginner, and they're great. You know, get a little amplifier and a lead, and they're very playable. The guitars. I mean, I wish I had those kind of things a bit about when I was a kid.
A lot of people say that they go to YouTube to watch all the. I mean, it's thousands of teachers on YouTube. Some of them are terrible. I mean, what's your opinion of that, Chris?
Well, the thing is they can't tell you if you're pressing down on the strings too hard. I've done the odd lesson. I mean, in COVID in school, I was doing lessons online, and it's really difficult. So it's so hard compared to being in a room, which you can't beat that. And you can have a quick look over at the thumb, and if the thumb's in the wrong place, and you can stop them getting into bad habits. You know, so it's. I suppose it's okay if you're a really good player, you can go onto YouTube and you can just quickly use it as a resource to quickly how do you quickly play that? Do you know what I mean? But I mean, to learn to play, wow, you could go down the wrong path
very quickly. And I suppose to some degree you can get despondent because you're playing the same thing all the time and you can never get any better.
Well, yeah, I mean, direction. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do is with rock school. It's very structured, and from like literally playing like 2 or 3 notes and some very basic open chords and reading one note on one string, like crotchets and minims, things like that. And you can develop through the grades. And it makes you become a musician. It's very structured. I think it's really, really good.
Excellent. So we spoke about Chris Brown, the guitarist extraordinaire. You know, there's nothing I'd like more to see, you in, as a sellable musician. People look up to you and think, I've got his record someday. Who knows, Chris? It's a difficult business to be in. You're well respected as a musician. You've given some great tips of, even on this podcast. For people listening, Chris has given some good advice. Practice, practice, and practice. And who knows, the world's your oyster with guitars. There's plenty nowadays to choose from. You don't really need an expensive one. So I'm going to put a clip in of Chris playing the solo 1 hour Christmas song. I'm going to put that in here so just people can have a look and a listen. Because you're a natural entertainer anyway, and playing the guitar, you've got some great moves. And so I'm going to pop that in, not the full song. And then another session, Chris, I'd like to invite you on with our band Breakthrough and then discuss through that. And then, we can move on from that. So, anything you'd like to add? And nowadays, for budding people who are wanting to learn guitar, because there is a lot of people that kind of like want to pick the guitar, they think, oh, I'm going to be another Brian May. It's just not possible, is it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone has an ability, and musically, so you get some people that really struggle with pitch, but rhythmically they're really good. So you probably find they make like really good rhythm guitar players, and it's very few people that I would say can't play. You can always teach someone to play, but I mean, getting to that like Brian, like you said, the Brian May or the top sort of player standards, it's a bit of a gift, isn't it, that they've got? I mean, Brian May's sort of set of skills. It's not so much he's like a flash player. It's just his note choices and his ear for harmony and creative he is. Just he's a genius.
Well, he's a genius, but you're a perfectionist.
Well, two different things.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Chris, you are a perfectionist, and but on the other side of things, you're a music teacher as well.
Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah, I sort of do that, and that's mainly what I do now. Apart from obviously doing my gigging and this project, the Breakthrough project.
How did you get into music teaching, Chris?
It was kind of a little bit by accident when I was like in an original band. It was a way of just trying to make ends meet a little bit. It actually started was I worked at a music shop, Goff and Davy in Hull. And at that time, you could only get classical or flamenco guitar lessons. And people were always ringing up for guitar lessons, like electric guitar, and there's literally nobody doing it. And I'd got to a point at that time where I was getting pretty good with my playing. I knew quite a lot of things, and so I started doing it myself. And I started just doing a few lessons. And I'm a very patient person, and I applied my knowledge of from the lessons that I'd had myself with my classical guitar lessons, applied that to teaching pop and rock guitar, and it sort of all developed from there, really. And now I'm teaching in schools. And
do you teach privately, Chris?
Very little, hardly anything at all.
Yeah. I suppose it takes up a lot of your time, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, as of yesterday, I used to teach at a school called St Mary's College, and it was my last day yesterday. I've sort of retired from there to try and have a little bit more time for myself, and I'd been there for 15 years.
Wow.
Fantastic school, brilliant music department, just great. I'll really miss them, actually. And so I'm just teaching at Tranby School now, which I'm doing 3 days there.
That's really good. There isn't a lot of good music teachers around these days, sadly. And who inspires you? I mean, there's obviously millions of guitarists all over the world, but who do you sit back and go, God, apart from yourself?
Oh, there isn't anyone. Steve Lukather, I love. He's a big session player. He was like massive in the 80s. He's got it all. He can play so beautifully. He's got the most amazing, beautiful vibrato, and he's bending technique, and he can shred, and he's the real deal, you know. John Petrucci from Dream Theater, he's just like superhuman. He's like a robot. It's just what he does is impossible, you know. And like Eddie Van Halen, he was a big influence. I kind of started off, I was really into Gary Moore. I suppose as a young kid, he was like with Jimi Hendrix and Gary Moore, I think, when I was sort of really first sort of learning. Although I was a big Queen fan.
Forget Brian May.
Absolutely, yeah. And funny, there was a Christmas Day radio show on Radio 1, and Queen were the guests. And like back in those days, there was only 3 channels on television. So, and obviously I was a big Queen fan. And it was, I can remember it, Brian May was actually talking about this particular track by Jimi Hendrix. And although I was a big Queen fan and everything, I wasn't really a big practicer of the electric guitar, because I was mainly doing classical. I just dabbled a little bit. And I heard this introduction. It was like, that was the switch. And that changed my life. Thank you, Brian May. That changed my listening to this guitar intro, and that was it. I was just practicing. No, just if I don't speak to you before, have a lovely Christmas and all the best for the new year, and keep well.
Just for our podcast viewers, this is 2024. We're coming into 2025. Yeah, age is creeping up on us. Have a fantastic Christmas yourself.
It's you, not me.
Oh, sad. I know, but I'm more handsome than you, Chris. So we'll look forward to putting this solo in for people to see and a few pictures of you. And thank you for your time. And I'm sure the people watching this showcase, I'd just like to ask you to subscribe and hit that like button, and keep watching. Share with your friends. If you want to see a guitar extraordinaire, I'm going to show you. Thank you very much, Chris Brown.
See you later. Bye.